No, but like, think about distraction. It's one of the reasons why we started this thing though as well. You know, but it is an issue. Like, so you even say about outrage and all, but just distraction in general.
Yeah.
Like we are constantly being pulled out of us and now and what we think is important. We're kind of told what's important, whatever. It's fucking tough, like.
Yeah.
It really is difficult because we're not evolved to be, you know, in these, on my phone and kind of be lost in it. You know what I mean?
You're not a bad person. So you don't need to be a better person.
Definitely agree with that, yeah.
Like you are absolutely 100% for everybody. Unless you're a fucking serial killer, you're fine the way you are right now. There's nothing wrong. You don't have to change. However, and this is the important however, if you want something, whatever that something is, doesn't have to be business, whatever it is, if you want something and you are not able to get it right now because of an inadequacy in a skill or a mindset or a physical attribute or something, and you want it, you do have to then change to get that thing. You have to become the thing that's required to get that thing.
It's because again, to get up and go to that gym session after my child hasn't slept for, it's much easier to say no. You know, to eat, I've been working all day. I don't want to go and cook. I tell you what, I'll just go and get a McDonald's. That's easier. Because again, it's just the easiness of all of this. And we live in a life of ease, but like, which is fine. But like, we can't expect them when hard times come that we're able to be like, oh, yeah, that's no problem. And I suppose that's the issue, having an opinion or stating these things because they can get twisted.
Is that what they will get twisted?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they get twisted for so many reasons. They don't get twisted because they're misunderstood. They get purposely twisted because it serves
A narrative.
Or it serves to create conflict, and conflict sells, and it serves for headlines, and it serves so many different things.
I suppose that's happening more and more as well with social media. Like, you know, the way we're consuming news and information, and it's 24/7, 365.
Yeah.
So that sells or that gets clicks more so than.
Yeah. Well, look, what is a news company now? Like, there's no way that they can have breaking news anymore in a news company. They can't have, like, for a journalist to get a story from Ukraine, for example, to get a story and to write it up and to make sure all the facts are checked and to get it out, he's already 10 days behind whoever's released that story first. Yeah. And they don't sell papers really anymore unless you're buying a subscription to The Independent. I'm fucking definitely not.
No.
They're not selling papers anymore. So what are they selling? Ad space. And what gets ad space? Clicks. And how do you get clicks? Fucking headlines.
Even speaking of Ukraine, like that war's being fought on TikTok. Yeah, you see loads of clips and what's happening now. You know, so it's crazy how just like you consume and what's happening. But I think that's the issue though. Then you're not allowed to say things anymore, apparently. Like, do you ever feel that? Do you ever feel like you're like, I don't ever feel like I shouldn't say.
I'm not popular enough to
that's what I mean.
worry about what I say.
That's what I mean. Like, is that the whole point? So we're not popular enough. That's why we're allowed to say. And it, like, if you say stuff, you get in trouble. The two Johnnies. Yeah. They got in trouble, didn't they?
I don't even. It was something about were they reading out bumper stickers or something?
Text or something like that. I don't know the full story, but something like that, and it was inappropriate.
They read something that was sent in as a joke,
but they said they laughed or something about it.
Maybe they smiled or laughed or there was a twinkle in their eye. I don't actually know the story, so I can't comment on it. But it was something like they didn't make a comment, a derogatory comment. They read something that was sent in as part of a bit they were doing. They were only like fucking 4 days on the new show they were doing.
Oh, it was only a new show. Like, it was only literally
even a new show on RTE. Yeah, they're doing a new radio segment. Yeah.
And are they still on it?
Oh yeah, they came back. They issued an apology straight away. But this is the fucking thing. Like, you have to go issuing apologies and stuff now. And like, who are you apologising to? Like, there's this bunch of outrage merchants on the internet. Here's me getting outraged now. There's a bunch of outrage merchants on the internet that love getting outraged. And it's a minority. Like, when people roll their eyes and give out about feminists, it's not actual feminists. It's a small minority of crazy people. Absolutely crazy.
And because they're so vocal and crazy, it just causes
they're vocal
stir,
and crazy,
so
and they spearhead these movements. And what I've seen in my experience is, and I'm not just talking about feminists, I'm talking about any movement, is they can disguise it to be something that it's not. So I'll come to you and say, do you support homeless people? And you say, of course I support homeless people. So join my group, you can support homeless people. But it's not about supporting homeless people. There's a completely different agenda at the top. But now you've bought into the homeless people thing. It's just assumed you agree with every single thing about that group. And they could be, you support homeless people? Let's kick other people out of their houses and put homeless people in. And you're like, oh, I don't support that. But you're part of our group. And then we just see these big groups of people and they're all like angry and shouting about, and let's kick people out of their houses. And then they build these narratives. People who own houses are Nazis. And all of a sudden it's the internet. Like, it's bedlam. Nothing is true. Nothing makes sense. Nothing's grounded in fact. But you're caught up in this wave and you're like, yeah, this is my policy now. Kick people out of their houses.
But it's only getting worse.
Yeah.
Isn't it though? Like,
yeah.
Because it likes TikTok and social media, whatever, like, it's only getting bigger. It's only getting more outrage. It's only getting more eyes.
Yeah.
And
so how deep do you want to go on this? Because my theory on this is, and it's not my theory, but what I believe on this.
Go on, tell me.
The more we're arguing with each other, the less we can organise, or the less we can be introspective and figure out what we want to do with our lives, the less we buy into this idea of the system, the less we kind of work jobs that we hate. Because if I'm too busy arguing with you about politics and I'm a Republican and you're a Democrat, or I believe in this and you believe in that, I'm not spending any time thinking about, do I actually want to work this bullshit job that I've been working for the last 20 years? I've no time for myself. Do I actually want to change something about my community? Do I actually want to change the way the government is run because they're making terrible decisions? I've no time for that because I'm playing this stupid fucking game with you, Bob, my neighbour, because you're a Democrat and I'm a Republican and fuck you. And so, like, the more of this outrage and argument and social media fucking
it's distraction, essentially. That's what you're saying.
Complete distraction from things that we could be spending our time on. And I think that's, maybe it's not by design from the start, but I definitely think it's fueled. I think it's capitalized on, and I think it suits the status quo. It suits to have all of us little workarounds arguing with each other and shouting at each other over fucking bullshit. And then, let me correct myself there. There are serious issues underlying a lot of this stuff. Like people who argue over Black Lives Matter. Racism is a serious issue.
Yeah.
But the Black Lives Matter movement was completely distorted. People burning down buildings and arguing with each other and stuff like that. It wasn't about racism in the end. It became about outrage. So it distracted people, and there's people marching on the streets, people getting angry, but nobody was doing anything. And did anything change? No. But racism is a serious problem. So like stuff like that pisses me off because if you stand back and you're not involved, you can see, like, lads, what are we all fucking fighting for? Like, we're all on the same team here. We don't actually hate each other at all, but we're all arguing, we're all distracted, and then we've no time for anything else. So that's, well,
that's interesting you're saying distraction, because the reason we're doing this podcast now is for 75 Hard.
Is that why we're here?
Apparently so.
Because we're in the podcast now about fucking 25 minutes and I couldn't remember.
No, but like, think about distraction is one of the reasons why we started this thing though as well. Yeah. But it is an issue. Like, so you even say about outrage and all, but just distraction in general.
Yeah.
Like, we are constantly being pulled out of us and now and what we think is important. We're kind of told what's important or whatever. It's fucking tough, like.
Yeah.
It really is difficult because we're not evolved to be, in these... my phone and kind of be lost in it, you know what I mean? And then you mentioned there about outrage and Black Lives Matter, and that happened over in America, yet we're all part of that because we can all see it. We can all consume it literally right now, as you're saying. It's not like this is breaking news that happened 2 or 3 days ago. Like, it happened 20 minutes ago and we are all watching it unfold. It's mental.
Yeah.
So that's why we did 75 Hard, wasn't it?
Well, do you want to give some background on do you want me to give background?
Go on, you do it.
I'll do it. Right. So we're doing... Now, I'm going to clarify this because we're going to get some fucking...
Yeah, of course. It's not 75.
We're not doing 75 Hard.
No.
I was going through a serious wobble.
As was I.
As were you, in terms of my mindset, independently of each other. We didn't know this.
No.
And I run a business, you run a business, I've got a family, you've got a family. We've got a lot of things going on, for us. And but I was going through a serious wobble in terms of my mindset, my direction, my kind of purpose with the business. And that was manifesting in, like, a lackluster performance as a business owner. I was kind of like, what am I doing? Am I going the right direction? Questioning myself.
Anxiety,
constantly. And then the anxiety kicks in, and then, as you pointed out, you kind of stop doing the right things, and everything from the outside was going fine, and you're servicing the clients, and everyone's getting a great service and stuff like that. But it really, really was affecting my mindset. And then I spoke to you,
and I was the same.
And you're going through the exact same fucking thing, which is random.
Yeah, no, again, it's maybe a different maybe way, but the same emotions and the same kind of fears and the same inaction. And we obviously were just sitting, having a conversation. We're good mates, we're close. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I'm feeling what you're feeling. Oh my God, I'm feeling what you're feeling.
Yeah.
It's like that Spider-Man thing. And then, so like we were more conversing around how we feel. Isn't that fair to say? Like, and then it was like, what can we do about this, or what should we do? And I was trying to help you were trying to help me, we're trying to help each other. And then I had read about the 75 Hard challenge, but we're not doing the 75 Hard challenge. But I was like, why don't we do it, or at least a variation of it?
And I said no.
Yeah. Did you say no?
I said, what the fuck is this? Hell no, man. Did too much shit in my life to be doing this shit.
Well, that is actually, you did say no. Why would we do this? This is more stress. I'm already dealing with a fucking plenty of stress. But then we eventually said yeah. But, well, what is the 75 Hard challenge? You explain it.
What's your man's name? Alex Frenella?
No,
or Frizella?
Andy Frisella.
I got it completely wrong. Sorry, Andy.
Yeah.
Andy Frizella.
Entrepreneur in America.
And randomly enough, about 2 weeks before that, I had spotted this guy. He's quite an outspoken entrepreneur, business owner, and has a lot of opinions, and some of those opinions I would agree with.
Yeah.
But he's very, very outspoken. So I spotted some of his stuff online, and I was like, oh, I'll follow this guy and see what's going on. And I saw this thing popping up over and over again, 75 hard, but I never clicked on it. I didn't know what it was.
Oh, sorry, I didn't know that. So you actually had seen 75 hard?
Didn't know what it was.
Okay.
But when you said it, I remembered having seen something along. He has this challenge mindset thing he puts people through to kind of like snap the fuck out of it. And that was the first kind of exposure I had, but that was before you ever mentioned it to me. And actually the point that you mentioned there was we were talking about how we were feeling. That's point number one, because obviously I like doing these podcasts so we can pass along if someone's not feeling good, you're in a slump, you've got mindset issues, like what can you actually do? Because we're not just talking about it here. Like this is something that we're doing that's actually starting to work, so we can pass this along. But first things first, we were actually talking about it, so I would advise that's where you start, like talk to somebody you trust about this stuff. But when you said it to me, I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew if you were saying it wasn't going to be like we go for a fucking walk, it was gonna be fairly difficult. So the challenge itself, like you know the exact rules of the challenge.
Yeah, so the challenge itself is, well, number one, I would say, like I don't think the vast majority of people should be doing this, because like just even from a physical standpoint.
Oh, sorry, yeah, disclaimer.
Yeah, it's way too much.
Stupid.
It is. That's why we changed it, really. Like, we were like, there's no point in killing ourselves. Like, you know, we do have families, we do have business, we do have lives to lead. We don't want to injure ourselves or kind of feel like shit. So we altered it because of just the intensity of, particularly the physical nature of it, mainly the physical nature, actually, wasn't it? So the 75 hard challenge is 75 days of doing this challenge. Now we're going to go through each one of what it is and what we do. But the idea is if you don't follow these day on day on day, if you miss a day, so imagine you get to day 20 and you miss it, you have to go back to day 1 and you start again. You have to complete the whole challenge for 75 days.
But not even miss a day. Miss one of the things you have to do on the day.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Sorry, so miss one of the things on the day. So any of them. So those things are, number one is to train twice a day, 45 minutes each, and one of those has to be outside. Now this is the main 75 hard challenge. Number two is follow a diet. And there's no real kind of huge strict guidelines on that. It's just like follow a diet. So whatever you kind of want to call a diet, it's at least some structure to it. Number three is, I'm going blank now. Number three
4
is...
4 litres of water.
Yeah, the 4 litres of water, which is a gallon of water, because in America, I said to you, 4 gallons. You're like, what the fuck?
4 gallons.
4 gallons.
Yeah.
So yeah, 4 litres of water a day was number three. Number four is read 10 pages of a non-fiction book. So you'd say personal development or business, or as long as it's not... as long as it is non-fiction, sorry. And then number 5 was take a picture every single day, and that's obviously to show your transformation in terms of the physicality side of things. And so we said, yeah, we'll do it. But we're like, oh, fucking...
Well, my concern was, it sounds like we're being soft. We were being a bit soft, but...
Yeah, you were.
My concern was football, because I'm playing senior football, and I was like, if I do this, I'll be injured.
And also
in 2
kids.
weeks.
And
Time, 45 minutes twice a day, 90 minutes. I was like, if I could find 90 minutes. Now, these are excuses, but it wasn't really the point.
No. Like genuinely, we were doing this challenge to change our mindset. We were in a rut. We weren't feeling 100%. And the idea with this was that we knew we were going to have to be disciplined, do things we don't really want to do on a lot of those 75 days. And at the end, hopefully having a mindset shift more so than a physical shift, although that
100%.
would come. So that's why we changed for me and you. We said, look, we don't have to do 45 minutes. It doesn't have to be outside. So, for example, if we're feeling tired or stiff after day 10, we can do 2 easy sessions. It could be a walk or a mobility session or something like that. But still train twice a day. That was still the same thing that we're doing. And the others were the same. Follow a nutrition plan.
Yeah, we didn't change anything else.
No, didn't change anything else. Yeah. Have the water, read the book, and take a picture. So, because there is a 75 soft, I don't know what that is now, but something like, yeah, it is, but it's a little bit easier than ours, I think, as well, where you train, I think, once a day for 6 days and you have a day off. But everything else will kind of stay the same.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean though with this. I don't think the vast majority of people should be training twice a day.
No.
Because I don't know what the statistics are, but I'd say roughly 75 to 80% of people don't move enough anyway.
Yeah.
So they just need to kind of move or whatever. But again, this wasn't about the physicality side of things. It was more the discipline, the kind of the courage to step forward into those moments that we knew we would feel shit or we couldn't be arsed. And we're on day...
I want to say...
27.
You seem really confident.
No, yeah, but you looked at me.
Okay.
What are we on? What do you think?
It's between 28 and 30. I can't remember. Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
right.
Yeah,
Jeez, we're further along then.
Yeah,
I was only telling Dee the other day, Dee Duffy, that we were on like day 25 or 26.
Yeah, I have my notebook at home. I'll know when I get home and write it.
That's good. But that's the whole point with this kind of, it's kind of just muddled into just doing what we're doing, I think. You know, we don't like know exactly what's happening. The biggest thing, even before we go again, we obviously weren't feeling great, but accountability was big for us. Yes. So we were like, when you get your first session done, text me. Your second session done, text me. Your 4 liters in, text me. And we don't do that anymore. We still do the sessions.
Yeah.
But that's what was the game changer for me, I think. You know, because Plenty of days I was like, not a fucking hope I'm going now. And then it's like, oh, Dan got a second session in. Like, come on, it's rock and roll. Let's go and do it. Like, so
I actually started making a point of texting you like as soon as I got my first work. I'd done it like 20 to 7.
Yeah.
I was like, text Brian. He's gonna be like, fuck this cunt. I've one done, and it's only.
But it's got that stage where it's like, and that's the difference. Plenty of times I just didn't want to train, but you get it done, and that's what's kind of shifted for me, even just in terms of the physicality side of things. Is like, you just do it. Like, you don't even think about it now. Like, you don't think I feel tired or I don't want to do this. It's just like, I'm just going to do it. And plenty of times I do feel tired, but it's just like, it's what I'm doing. It's just what I do.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, actually, I think we forgot to mention, I think there's no alcohol for the 75 hard challenge.
Yeah.
We've changed that.
We've given ourselves one exception.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you went on a wedding.
I had a wedding.
And we said,
and you have a wedding.
I have a wedding in May, but you've already gone to the wedding. You've already had the drinks.
Yeah, so I'm done.
Yeah, so we were like, Dan was allowed to drink for the wedding because he was away in Italy, and you hadn't been away for 2 years. And that's not fair. Like, go and enjoy yourself, but you still had to train when you were away, which you did.
2 sessions a day, in Italy, in 25 days.
I'm going to a wedding in end of May or something. So whenever this is out, I don't know when you're putting this out. So that was the exception because I don't think you can drink on the 75 hard challenge. You're not meant to drink at all.
Yeah, I kind of just put that in as part of the diet anyway.
Yeah, and really, it's not a big deal for us. Alcohol. Normally.
That was literally only the fact that I had this wedding. We haven't been away in 5 years.
Oh, sorry.
And it was Jill's best friend, and I was like, I'll do it. And then we were kind of like, the point of this isn't. It kind of is, but it isn't. Like, I want to enjoy my time with my girlfriend as well, and my fiance actually.
But particularly though as well, because you like the hardships. You literally haven't been away for 5 years, and most of that was because of the pandemic. That was the main reason why you haven't been away. So it's like, look, Jesus, you're heading away, enjoy yourself, you know. So, and again, it wasn't about the physical side of things. And we're not.
If anyone's listening here, they're like, these fuckers aren't doing any of this at all.
What the fuck are they doing? You know what I mean? But again, I don't think so. I think the conversation we're going to have now about it, if I'm right in saying this, it's nothing to do with the 75 hard challenge. No. It was more about. We felt a little bit lost, a little bit shitty, a little bit overwhelmed, and we're just going to do something. We're just going to have a fucking plan here, and we're going to execute on this thing. That sounds weird. You don't really know what the hell we're doing, but let's see what the crack is.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. And like we said, I don't know if we caught it at the start of this when did we turn the mics on or not for this bit, but that's what I feel now. I'm only 30 odd days in.
We're not in 30 odd days. It's 28 to 30. I think we're on
28 to 30. All right. Yeah.
Call it 30.
Yeah. But like, I have it written down. We are on a day, but I have it written down. I just don't remember what day it is. But the doing a thing was a problem, I think, before.
Yes.
Because I was just kind of in cruise control mode, maybe. And because I work by myself, and you work by yourself a lot. I know you have a business partner team and all, but a lot of the time the stuff you need to do is your own stuff, and you have to decide what it is, and then you have to actually do it. So there's no real accountability. And a lot of stuff that you know you need to do doesn't get done. So for me, it was like, okay, if we're going to hold each other accountable, whatever, we change the rules, whatever. But whatever we say we're going to do at the start is what we're going to do. We're not going to get halfway through and go, right, we'll change it now and we'll take away this and we'll say we'll do something right now and we'll do it. And that made me really nervous at the start. And the fact that I was really nervous, I knew it was a good idea.
And that was crazy because you were nervous and I was really excited.
I was really nervous.
Yeah. Well, I was more excited going deadly. I had a feeling I would do it because you were doing it. Because something like this, like number one, we've never done anything like this.
No.
I never even thought about doing something like this. But I can imagine me doing something like this, going, yeah, and then stopping after 2 or 3 days.
Fact.
Full of beans being like, oh, that sounds whopper. I'm going to do this. And then I'd be like, yeah, fuck this. I'm not going to do it today.
Exactly.
But the fact that you were doing it, I was like, okay, whopper. Because like, I can't say, no, I'm not doing it. You're like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we're doing this. I'm like, I have to do it because Dan's doing it. You know what I mean? So I was more excited, but you were more nervous.
Well, I'm not afraid of you, so.
Well, that's probably why, yeah. I'm tiny and you're bigger than me. How dare you?
No, I was genuinely nervous, but I knew that was a good thing because I say a lot of things, I've loads of ideas, I've loads of plans, and like, to be fair, like I implement some of them.
Oh, you do, yeah.
But for me to go to the next level with all the stuff I want to do, that wasn't good enough. And I was kind of stewing a little bit in that knowledge that I have said all these things and haven't done some of the hard things. So now I was like, here's a thing that's going to be hard that I have a history of not doing that I'm now going to have to do. And I'm fucking nervous about this. And I was like, that's good to be nervous because now you know you're in the right place. It's like that line, like, find where the pain is and press. I was like, I'm feeling the pain now. Okay, now you got to press on that pain. So it wasn't like, oh, I'm not going to do it because I'm nervous. I was like, I should do it now because I'm nervous. But I was really nervous.
Yeah. So if we look at it now, then just say with day 30.
No, 28 to 30.
28 to 30?
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
Much. I don't want to use the word better. I'm feeling different.
I love that. I'm the exact same. I wouldn't say better.
No.
I'd definitely say different. So what's the difference?
The difference is I think I've become more proficient at overcoming resistance to things I don't want to do. The workouts is a hard one because like I've trained my whole life. It's not the training that frightens me, or that I struggle with the actual process of training. It's the motivation to do it and the consistency to do it. So if I had to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and get a session in, like a heavy bench session or a deadlift or something like that, I'd find a million reasons between 6 o'clock and 8 o'clock.
100%.
And then 8 o'clock be like, oh, well, got to go now, got to get the kids ready, got to go to school, no time anyway. And then there'd be excuses, and it'll just drag out, and then you're 2 weeks in, and then I haven't done the deadlift session, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Now, I was very lucky that I'm playing ball as well, so I'm already training 3 times a week, and I most weeks would get a session in myself, or 2 sessions, but I found so many excuses, and now I have to get 2 sessions done every day. So the first thing when I wake up, I'm like, I have two to get done today, and I have very little time. So I'm getting up at 6, and I'm doing a session straight away, and like when I'm in the session, like I'm not wasting this session. I'm gonna do the session. It's gonna be a good session. And then if I finish it, I'm like, I still have one more session to get done. So overcoming that resistance has now become way easier to me because I just don't have a choice. I do have a choice. I could just ring you and say, fuck this, I'm not doing it anymore. But overcoming that has become really, really easy for me now. So now we're nearly 30 days in, and I wake up and I'm like, right, I'm doing a session. And I just go and do the session. There's no time where I'm like sitting there twiddling my thumbs, like, oh, what shorts will I wear? What t-shirt will I put on? I'll make a bit of breakfast first. Will I make that after? I'm just out and I'm doing a session. Like I've 2 done today. And have you got your 2 done today?
No, I got 1 done today.
I have 2 done today.
I went for a walk though today. I was on a call and I was like, so I used that. I was on a call for about 45 minutes. I was like, I'm going to go for a walk now. And I used that as my session.
Yeah.
I would have never done that.
Yeah.
I would have sat down on the call. So that, like, I'm similar to you. It's like, it's got to the stage now where it's like, I just get this done, and but for me, the physicality side of things probably was the easier part.
Yeah.
Granted, I wouldn't have trained 14 times a week normally, but like I enjoy it to some degree. It is what I've always done, and it's definitely an easier thing. But then just those moments and those days where, like you, I wouldn't have done it. I wouldn't have done a session. I would have let it skip. Or even me working all day, it comes to the end of the day, like I'm just too tired. Like, even now, it's like I've done 1 session. I have to do a second one, you know? Whereas I will get that second session done, because again, you got your second session done. I have to get a second session done. I'll just get it done. And I'll just get it done.
Yeah.
Like, it's so easy.
It's gas. I was at the wedding, right? We were at this wedding in Italy, and I was sitting, I'm not a big drinker at all. I had like 2 points or 3 points maybe, and I was sipping that 3rd point, and the wedding was at like 3, and this was at like, I think 1:30. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to get these sessions done after the wedding tonight. I'll have no time. I can't leave the wedding and go to a session. So I stood up and I left the table with all the lads. I went into the hotel room and I did a 35-minute fucking body weight, EMOM, squats, push-ups, all that kind of stuff. And I put my shorts on and went outside, and I ran for 35 minutes as well. And then I came back and I sat down. The lads didn't even know I'd left, and I sat down and got my 2 sessions done. I was like, I just didn't have a choice. It's like, I have to get this done, or I'm resetting back to day fucking 1. There's no way I'm doing that. So just got up and I did it. That would literally never have happened before. That's an extreme example, I know, but literally, now it sounds like we're patting ourselves in the back here and saying, good lads, but the whole point I'm trying to make here is that my brain now knows there's a way to overcome that resistance. Whereas before, I was just like, here's resistance. And then I'd let it win. And then I'd feel a bit shit.
Now, having said that, because you'll confirm this as well, you still feel resistance in other areas that you haven't overcome.
Yeah.
So, we're far from going like, oh yeah, we felt shitty 30 days ago and we're all
not at
happy-go-lucky men and everything's
not at all.
happy out. But I definitely agree. And remember, it is only 30 days as well, which is interesting because we're not even halfway.
No.
So that is like, and I think we're going to have darker moments as well to kind of get close towards 75. And we've also mentioned this as well, that we're not going to say we keep doing this version of 75 hard forever, but it is the whole point of us doing this was that we want to shift our mindset kind of forever and step forward into a new way of being. So even after 75 days, this kind of mentality and this kind of idea of hardship and just doing the things is what we want to do and achieve. Yeah.
Fact, yeah. I think we're going to sit down after on day 76 and say, right, what's
the next thing?
What's the next thing? It's not going to be 2 workout today and stuff like that, but it's there's going to be a something, a consistency or something that we bring from this into the next phase.
Because I think, look, being entrepreneurs, and this is why it's so good for your personal development, is that like, unfortunately, you can't lie to yourself.
Well, you can, but
you can definitely lie to yourself, but you'll fail. Yeah. Like, that's the whole point. It's disgraceful, and that's what me and you were kind of. Although we weren't lying to ourselves because we had the awareness that we weren't doing the things we should, we just knew where this was going to lead. And then it's like, right, you've got to do something or literally you're going to die, you know? And I think that's the difference. Whereas other people maybe not don't have that awareness because you can kind of just get away with doing stuff, you know? Like, you know that deep down you're not doing what you should do, but you're just getting by.
Yeah.
And we've always said this about, like, as humans or even as a business, like, if you're not progressing, it does feel like you're stagnating, which feels like you're kind of going backwards.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel very nice. And then particularly when you know you should be doing things that you're not doing, there's nothing worse. You just feel like a dickhead.
Literally feel like a dickhead.
You're just like, I'm a fucking arsehole.
And it's funny actually because, and this is another thing, like, and we wouldn't have discussed this before we would say it, but we would have a conversation. And we're both running successful businesses. And I look at you and you were going through this and I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, your business is booming. You've got this team, you've all these people involved. It's amazing. The product's cool. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then I'd say like, and me, like, and you'd be like, hold on, what are you saying? Like, you've got all these clients coming in, the business is growing, you're only fucking up and running. And I'm like, no, man. So I was feeling shit, but you thought my business was fucking, because you know the inner workings of my business and I know a lot about your business. And I'm like, no, man, you're fucking flying here. And you're like, no, you're flying here. And I'm like, no, but something doesn't feel right. And then we were both able to identify it's because, the thing is fine. It's from the outside looking in, it looks like everything's gone grand. But we both want the next level of what we can offer. We've way more value to offer our clients. We've way more value to offer the world, I suppose, if you want to be grandiose about it. And we weren't achieving that. So it wasn't the fact that, my business is failing or something's going on.
I think even take that back again. Like, and you're right, because I agree with that. But I think you to take it back and you just go, you know what you should be doing that you're not doing.
Yeah.
I know what I should be doing I'm not doing. Yeah. And that's just awful. Because
horrible.
And this is, you even said they're saying, oh, you're doing really good. And someone says to you, you're doing really good. You're like, you fucking have no idea. I'm an absolute wanker. It's just that innerness that you can try and bullshit other people all you want. But you don't even want to do that.
But you don't even bullshit other people because your standard for yourself is so much higher than what they're looking at. They're like, oh, that business is going really well. And your business is going really well. But like, you're not, that's not my standard. It's not what I'm doing here. What I'm doing here is much greater and I'm not doing it. So I feel like a wanker. Yeah. And then he's telling me I'm doing great. I'm like, yeah, that's not my fucking standard, man.
Well, this is interesting though, because I've experienced like similar feelings in the past and stuff, and I've had burnouts in the past when it comes to being an entrepreneur. So a question I have for you, I suppose, is like, not that we have to say that we have to go through this in terms of this kind of pain or resistance, but is it necessary you're saying that we're going to another level or raising a standard or moving to that standard? Do you have to work through a bit of pain?
I don't know if I'm experienced enough at this to answer that question definitively, but I'll give you my own experience because I'm only, like, in the grand scheme of things, relatively new at running my own business. It's only been a few years.
I'm the same, kind of.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah. So maybe I'm not giving business advice here. Let me just clarify that. There's a disclaimer. I'm not giving business advice. But what I feel is I don't think I can achieve what I want to achieve with this business without having had, like, this experience that we're doing right now. I don't think, I can feel myself changing. And I don't think I would ever have experienced that change without some hardship to stimulate that. I would have just kept doing the same thing. Clients are coming in. Like the business is being a business. Clients are coming in. They're paying me for a service. I'm doing a good service. But that's, I know I want more. I have massive visions for what I'm building here. And I don't think if I didn't feel that pain, if I didn't feel like Europe, and people are going to say, have some empathy and stuff like that. I understand that.
Well, actually, even forget that then. So I get that because you got progress. Do we need to experience that pain?
I think so.
As humans, like, to kind of change.
So. No, yeah, so, okay, take the business thing out of it because I know we're talking about business here. I do believe that without challenge, we will struggle to grow or meet our potential. And I think one of the benefits that we have, and most people listen to this podcast now as like safe, healthy, happy people in Ireland, like where there's no major challenges to us, we have the advantage that we can decide to put challenge in front of ourselves to level ourselves up if we understand that process. If you live in Ukraine, you don't have the choice. Yeah. So we're very privileged from that point of view. But I definitely believe no matter where you come from or who you are, without a level of challenge in your life, you'll never grow. You'll never move forward. I think we need stuff to work on. I think we need stuff to challenge us to grow. And if we're not growing, we start to feel like we're stagnating. Yeah. And I don't think it's possible to grow without challenge.
And that's where I suppose if I look at myself and burnout when it comes to entrepreneurship, that challenge was too great for me and kind of in the past, what overtook me, and what this time around, at the very least, what I have is some level of self-awareness. Yeah. Where I was able to, because I identified. So we've been doing this for 30 days, we'll say. I identified fucking 2, 3, 4 months ago, I wasn't feeling 100%. You did, yeah. And I still pushed. I still tried to force and do the things that I didn't really want to do. I didn't take a step back when I should have. And looking back now, there was so many signs just go, no, just, take a week off or, have a conversation, say something, whatever. And I didn't. And then it got to a stage 2 or 3 months later that was bigger. So I was like, oh, okay. But I did have much more self-awareness, at least this time around, we'll say. More so than when I actually burnt myself out 3 or 4 years ago because I just had no experience of what it was or what the hell's going on. I had to do this thing. And because it's all well and good saying we're doing this, but I think change is pretty much impossible without some level of self-awareness. Without being aware that you need to change or there is a bit of pain here or something, I just don't think you'll change. So,
And do you think people need to change? Do you think people should change?
that's interesting, yeah. Well, like you said there, certainly if you because I think what you want to achieve and what I want to achieve does require a better us. We are not the people. We're not doing the things that we have to do. And it takes time. It takes 9 months to make a baby. So you can't just change straight away. So there's adaptation that has to happen, obviously. But if you do want to stretch yourself, I do think you're going to have to change because you're stepping into a newness. You're stepping into something that you've never done before. That requires a better you. And I've gone through this as an entrepreneur. Like the things that I do now are better than it was 4 years ago when I wasn't an entrepreneur of Movement 101. The systems that I have, the conversations that I have, literally doing this 75 hard challenge for this reason, even, I wouldn't have done that 4 years ago, you know? So I'm a better person. And as a result, actually, I'm a better human being, I think. I think I'm a better father. I think I'm a better partner. I do think I'm better. But then again, if I want to keep progressing and keep stretching myself, I think I have to change, you know?
Yeah.
I think I do, yeah. But isn't change the only constant in life? Kind of. Like, this change is happening all the time. Just constantly.
Yeah, it's an interest because it's a triggering word for people, change. That's why I asked the question as well, because I remember someone said it to me, I got some pushback on this once, that we don't need to change. You're fine the way you are. But I think they're two different concepts. So I think you're not a bad person.
Yeah.
So you don't need to be a better person.
Definitely agree with that, yeah.
Like you are absolutely 100% for everybody. Unless you're a fucking serial killer, you're fine the way you are right now.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong. You don't have to change. However, and this is the important however, if you want something, whatever that something is, doesn't have to be business, whatever it is, if you want something and you are not able to get it right now because of an inadequacy in a skill or a mindset or a physical attribute or something, and you want it, you do have to then change to get that thing. You have to become the thing that's required to get that thing. So if I couldn't win a marathon tomorrow, if I want to win a marathon, I have to change. I have to train and I have to get better and I have to become more aerobically fit. I have to lose a bit of fucking weight. And I have that will make me more likely to win. And there's no guarantee, but it'll make me more likely. There's requirements to win the marathon. So I don't need to become a better person, but I need to acquire certain skills. And that's the change I think you might be referring to.
I think so, yeah. And even Peterson talks about this. Jordan Peterson says about like, it's not that you're fine the way you are. It's just that you know you're not everything you could be.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for me. So,
Yeah.
so this is nothing to do with me even going to a vision and progressing and going, isn't he a great lad? It's just me sitting with today going, you're a fucking idiot and you know you've so much more. And now it's like, let's change into that because you know there's more. And, you know, talking about potential and what you could do. And I said to you off podcast, I think we all know what we should do. It's just doing it is really difficult. It's that resistance that you get that is really difficult to work through that on those days and moments that we all get. And that's what I think why change is important. It's like, you know, there's more. You know, you're coasting in a lot of areas in your life because we all do. I think it's very human.
Yeah.
So I just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to just coast. I don't want to just be knowing that I'm lying to myself that you're not even trying.
Yeah.
You're not even trying properly.
I think I'll reword what you said, Dan. You can tell me if you agree or disagree with my rewording of it. I don't think we all know what we should do, but I think we all know that we're not doing something that we should be doing.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know if we know exactly what it is that we should be doing.
Well, even what I mean by that though is just like going to bed a little bit earlier or going.
Okay, in that context,
going to the gym.
Yeah, we all know we should eat healthy.
That's what I mean. So really simple things.
Yeah.
That's all I mean.
That's okay.
So like everyone knows how to be healthier, what they should do. Everyone knows they should make these better choices for their mental health. I'm the exact same.
Yeah.
And I don't do a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it's like,
why?
Because there's just resistance. Because again, to get up and go to that gym session after my child hasn't slept for, it's much easier to say no. You know, to eat, I've been working all day. I don't want to go and cook. I tell you what, I'll just go and get a McDonald's. That's easier. Because again, it's just the easiness of all of this. And we live in a life of ease, but like, which is fine. But like, we can't expect them when hard times come that we're able to be like, oh, yeah, that's no problem. And that's what you're talking about choosing this hardness ourselves. And as a result, we're all going to feel shitty. We're going to have these moments, particularly in business. It's really difficult. You can't be expected to progress and be happy-go-lucky all the time. And it's our responsibility. Like, we're going to fail and die if we don't kind of take this. So my change and you being better is really simple, everyday stuff, I think. And again, you don't need to have some grand vision or know where you want to go. I just think we just know as human beings that we can always be better.
Yeah.
which is kind of scary again. Though, I just said that it's kind of scary because it's like, it's my responsibility.
Yeah. And I see a real connection between what you're saying there, which I agree with, and a lot of the existential angst that exists nowadays. And I talk a lot about people misplacing their frustration and anger, which is genuine frustration and anger in all these different causes. And we spoke about it briefly earlier on, joining different groups and getting angry at different things and getting outraged at the world, the fucking world. And that's an existential angst because you know there's something not right inside of you. But it's easier to externalize that. It's easier to point a finger at the government or at the opposing political group or whatever than it is. It's easier to die. It's easier to not do the thing that you know you should do. The answer is probably inside for 99% of people, if not 100% of people. But it's easier to point the finger at you and to get angry at you because that justifies the angst. Because I have angst and anger because you said something that offended me. The way you live your life upsets me. And again, I want to separate that in a small percentage of cases is people doing things and oppressing other people, and that's not right. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about the vast majority of really angry people. Me and you, same kind of thing on a completely different context. Angst, anxiousness, because we know we're not doing the things that we need to do, and we know it's our fault. And people will say, have a bit of empathy for yourself. And I try, but it's a different thing. I have empathy for myself because I know I'm not a bad person, and I know I'm trying really hard. But I also know that I'm not trying hard enough if I want this other thing. And I also know I do want this other thing. So like there's a chain there. And if I want it, I have to try harder. So I can have empathy, but it doesn't fucking matter. I'm not going to run the marathon if I don't train for the marathon.
But I think it's so true. And I think it's the difficultness of modern life and kind of what we're told. This idea of kind of being happy and chasing happiness, or that everything's going to be, you're allowed to be happy and you should want to be happy and happiness is the goal. I don't think it is. Like I don't think happiness, we can be happy and there's moments of happiness in our lives. And I think the more disciplined we are and structured we are, I think those moments become much more consistent and certainly much more regular. But like we have all the emotions that we have. And so you mentioned there, but like giving your angst to somebody else, I think is just really difficult to look at yourself because it's just awful. It's so painful. Like it's just like, oh my God, I'm so vulnerable and naked and ridiculous here that it's all on me. And you've no one else to blame or to look up to. Oh, here, Dad, look after me, or someone. It's like, no, like this is you.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You know, and you can again blame everyone, but it's just that victim mentality isn't.
Yeah.
Just not taking ownership of it. And remember, I think it's really important as well. Self-ownership, taking the ownership. You're not taking whatever happens in your life, good, bad, or indifferent. It doesn't mean that it's your fault. Like a lot of things happen to really bad people. Again, just go to Ukraine. It's awful. It's a terrible, terrible situation. So many people are being unnecessarily hurt, literally some are being killed. But the responsibility lies with those people who are there to either get out or to fight. Or that's just what it is. So it's not necessarily my fault, things that happen to me. But I have to take responsibility. And that's tough. Jeez, that's scary.
Yeah. And I want to just make the point, we're not pontificating here because this is literally why we are in a position where we're having to do this challenge.
I'm talking to myself here.
I'm literally, and I'm hearing you talking, I'm like, that's me. So this isn't like a lecture or advice on how to fucking figure it all out.
No.
But it's very helpful to consider these things because it is really challenging. But I know because we do this a lot. We have these conversations a lot, even more recently, a lot. And I know that you're challenged by all the conversations we have because I am as well. And I want more of that challenge, even though it's massively uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'm really like, oh, okay, let's talk a bit more about how I'm being such a dickhead here. Let's talk a little bit more. And it seems to be helping, but it's not easy.
Well, do you know what's easier? Is that you feel that way as well. So when I'm having a conversation with you and you're like, well, you know what?
That makes it much easier.
I'm like, fuck me. Oh, Jesus, that's deadly. Dan's a great lad. And I didn't think he felt that way. So that's pretty good.
And I have this experience a lot. And it's only now thinking back. I don't know. And people listening maybe are familiar with this, but I'm very familiar with this. This has happened a lot. People have said, oh, geez, I didn't realize you like I told someone the other day that I had really struggled for a couple of years. And they're like, Jesus, I didn't know that at all. Wow. Yeah. And then they were like, oh, I'm having a bit of a hard time at the moment. And I was like, all they needed was that opening to realize that not everybody else has this fucking perfect life. And it's actually everybody, pretty much. Everybody else is struggling with something. And you're like, oh, I'm not by myself. And usually that's enough to kind of Well, it's actually that's not correct.
Well, it was certainly the catalyst for us.
It was the catalyst for us because this wouldn't have. We wouldn't. I might still be kind of sitting there.
Yeah.
Probably would sitting.
I'm
there.
saying, oh, Evan's grand. I'm a great lad, and that, not to say that. Look, I'm actually feeling shitty, and I'm like, yeah, I'm the exact same.
Yeah.
Because that was the only reason that we did this. I wouldn't have changed, and again, we don't have the answers. We're not cured, or we don't fucking know what we're doing. But like at least though, and it is easier, I think, for me and you to be vulnerable now, even with each other and having these conversations.
We're doing a mic in front of other people.
In front of other people that are here. Oh my god! Look, if you look at that then, so because day 30 is, so we're not even halfway. What are you expecting to feel by day 75?
Do you know what? I'm expecting nothing. I've learned to manage expectations. I'm expecting nothing. I'm optimistic. I won't say hopeful. I'm optimistic that because based on how I feel now, I know we're going to have some tough days. That I'm like, fuck it, it'll be 8 o'clock and I haven't done any workouts for whatever. I'm like, I have to get them done. But I'm optimistic that I'm going to have more of this feeling of just a feeling of confidence that I've done something I said I would do. And that's all I'm expecting. I'm not expecting this mad change in my mindset. And I know it does happen for some people. And a lot of people do this who are like really down in the dumps and maybe massively overweight and really struggling. And it's like a massive reset for them. I'm not expecting that because we went like rock bottom.
No, and it's also not a huge change. We were training, we were drinking water, eating.
To be honest with you, like, I mean, we tweaked it to make it a little bit easier on ourselves.
Yeah, no, we did.
And to be honest with you, like, we were training 5 or 6 days a week anyway. We were pretty much okay with diet and stuff like that anyway, but it was too easy to not do it when we didn't feel like doing it. So the days where I felt lazy, I was lazy. Now the days where I feel lazy, I have to do it anyway.
Yeah.
So like that's a nice thing for me to have experience because I know I can do it. Where I said earlier on, the reason I was nervous, I didn't think I could do it. Not because I'm not physical enough and I can't work out twice a day. I didn't think I had the discipline in my own head, being accountable to myself and like you. I was like, I could lie to you if I wanted to lie to you. I didn't think I had the discipline to do it, so I was real nervous. But then I was like, that's because you're nervous because it's a problem because you know it's fucking bullshit, man. So go for it. So what I'm optimistic about is maybe being able to apply this to more things in my life, and that I'll get to the end of the 75 days, and all it will be is a catalyst for more. Of the same 100%. Overcoming of resistance. Like, and I like talking about this. I can't remember his name, the author of the book, The War of Art.
I don't know.
It's amazing. I listened to it, but it's all about this resistance, and it's about he's a writer and he talks to writers in it, but it can apply to anything, and it's about overcoming that resistance, and that's what I'm optimistic about with this challenge: is overcoming the resistance to do things that aren't particularly like mentally hard or anything like that, but you have to do it anyway. Because I find like it's the stuff that's not really, really hard. That's the stuff that's easy to let go. Like,
well, it's just this idea of procrastination as well that we all do. Like, we all do. Exactly. Or because it's just like it's a little bit difficult, or it's not going to require me to do something I don't really want to do. I think that's what you're saying there is what I definitely think I've gotten to some degree and think we'll just get a little bit better. Is just being able to do something when I don't really feel like doing it. You know, like just being able to sit down, knowing that this is going to be kind of difficult, or I'm tired, or whatever, but just being able to kind of start and kind of get through it. But I think you're right, though. I'm not expecting any kind of match yet. But like you said there, I would like to then, there's add-ons to this. This is the start of something for me. I think what really for me doing this was just call my own bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like really, really deep down for the last 10, 20 years, man. Like genuinely. Like, you know, nothing that I was ever terrible or whatever. I didn't do anything. Like, I did things, but I just know I cut corners. I didn't do things. I didn't take challenges and all, because it's just easier just to say no. I just don't want that. I just don't want that anymore. I don't want, and particularly how I felt over the last 2 or 3 months, it was just like, it's just not a way to live. Like, it's not a nice way to be. So it's like, fuck this.
It's interesting because me and you both know many other entrepreneurs, small, medium business owners, and it's very, very common consistently to feel this way. And it's interesting because I think about it sometimes, like, what's a midlife crisis? Now, we're not in our, hopefully not in our midlives, but a midlife crisis when someone gets to a point where they have this existential angst. Have I wasted my life? What am I doing? I have no purpose, etc., etc., etc. But I think it's massively amplified when you're in a position like when, for example, and I don't want to make this all about businesses, but when you run a business, if you're off, the business is off. So there's no safety blanket there. Whereas if, say, you're working for somebody, now, obviously, if not if you're a heart surgeon or something like that, but if you have an off day, that's fine. I'll go again tomorrow.
Yeah.
And you can do that when you run a business, fine, if you set up your systems and stuff like that. But if you're not feeling good a lot of the time when you're doing something like this, everything suffers. And you keep saying, like, you pull it down around yourself, you start to make bad decisions, you start to go back to the old bullshit. You've built up a series of good habits to get you to where you are now, and you destroy all of them in one fell sweep in one day. Fuck all the habits. Fuck this. It's all bullshit, and you start to create this really bad downward spiral for yourself. And unless you can arrest that, so it's like an exaggerated version of. It's made more obvious, I suppose, for us in this environment, like working by ourselves, than it would be in a normal environment, I suppose, if you were working a job or something like that. But then you get to 50 or 55 or whatever, and you have your midlife crisis, and it's just a version of the same thing, I think. But I think there's an advantage to being able to have this now at this early stage, because we know we don't want to get to 50 and 55 and have midlife crises, because we're having them now and it feels awful. And what is a midlife crisis? It's just more internal angst because you know you're not doing the things that you want to do or you should do or whatever like that. So like I'm grateful for this, as fucking soppy as that sounds.
Yeah, it's weird. I get it. I do get what you mean about being grateful, but
it feels awful.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's tough. It's tough to feel that gratefulness when you feel.
I don't know, do I feel it or am I just saying it? But I want to feel
no,
it.
I definitely feel a bit more grateful now, certainly than I did fucking 30 days ago. You know,
well, fair, yeah.
But like, I do get it, and I suppose this is. But I think, as you mentioned there about midlife crisis, not that we'll all go through midlife crisis. We're going to have these issues potentially that we're having, but as you said, they are a lot more common than I think people, I don't know, either one realize or kind of, because I think when you feel this way, you think it's all you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You think everyone's doing great, and it's just fucking no one's ever.
And you exaggerate how great everyone's doing in your own head,
and also you exaggerate how bad you're feeling and how that no one else ever could feel this way. But like, I think whatever we're feeling, whatever, like everyone's gone through something, and people like my problems, your problems aren't unique only to us. Like, you know, so it's like, but when you're feeling that way, you really do think they are, and. Then because you got no answers and you think you should, and because you're not doing what you should do, you're afraid to kind of tell people and kind of reach out, and it could just go to a spiral that's not really, certainly not nice or good, and you just don't know where it could lead then potentially, you know? So I agree. Like, sorry, I don't even know what I'm agreeing with. What am I agreeing with here? The gratefulness of it, of kind of going through this.
Well, being grateful, but also it's not unique. Like, and I only compared it to the midlife crisis, but there's many other ways this manifests itself, and it is a crisis of self, I suppose.
Yeah.
And knowledge. It's on some level subconscious, if you want, that you're not doing what you should be doing.
Yeah.
And again, this is not about leave your job instead of
no,
business.
but also it's interesting because you're saying there you're not doing what you should be doing because we've chosen this. No one's told us to do this. In terms of our business.
And that's the interesting thing about saying should,
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I've decided I want something.
Yes.
And it's this vision, this business, what I'm building with Prymal. But there's things I need to do to get there.
Exactly.
So those are the things I should do.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I should run a business. I can do anything. I'm going to get a job tomorrow if I want, whatever. But I've decided I want this. And if I want this, these are the things I have to do, and I'm not doing them. And it's easy to point the finger. And again, I'm just linking this again to so many issues nowadays because it's blame somebody else. It's not my fault. Blame somebody else. And it's this whole equality of outcome thing. We should all have the things that we want. We should all have a comfortable life. We all have a right to a comfortable life. And every time I hear that, like since I was a kid, I was like, who gives us the right to a comfortable life? Like, we built this whole thing we built ourselves, this system.
Which has been built through hardship as well.
Which has been
it hasn't been easy.
Built through hardship, but it's all, we made it all. Like, we made systems and governments and like economies. This is all man-made shit. So where's this magic fucking fairy dust right now? I'm not going to go into the religious conversation, but what is this magic right that we have? The human rights is like things we wrote down on paper. That's an agreement that we have with each other to take care of each other. It's not like cosmic law. We don't have human rights. Like, and like, what about the poor child who's born with an illness or disability? Where's that child's human right? It doesn't exist. These are a set of agreements that we made up ourselves. So once you understand that, you start to kind of maybe accept that, okay, like you said, I am responsible for certain things. I am empowered. But the entire message that we're getting is that we're not responsible.
Yeah.
The system will take care of us if we do our jobs. And the system doesn't take care of us. But if we do our jobs, we'll be taken care of and we'll be fine and we'll be safe. And the whole goal is to be comfortable. The whole goal. Work hard so you can get a nice house and a nicer car and retire. That's the goal. We're being told the goal is to be comfortable. And it's literally counterproductive, but it's very attractive.
Yeah.
It's very
It's
attractive.
so much easier to die
It's
and have that.
so much easier. And it makes sense. I work hard, and you're working hard. People work hard. Hard. But I think that's where the angst comes from, because they're working really hard and they're not getting the substance. And I don't have loads of money, but everyone who has loads of money that I listen to, they all say the same fucking thing. It's not money. So if it's not money, what is it? Because they're telling us it's money. Because money buys the house and the car. And like, obviously, I'd like a nice house, whatever, for my family and stuff like that. But that's not happiness. So that's where I believe the angst comes from. And then we demand equality for everybody. We demand 17 different bathrooms.
That's interesting you say it there, but that angst that we all feel and taking that responsibility, because I think a lot of people think if I take responsibility, I'm equating that this is my fault. When in reality, like, responsibility doesn't equal the fault, but like, we're all just human and we're all just trotting along doing our best.
Yeah.
So like, I'm an idiot, like everyone else is an idiot. Like, you know, we are all literally doing, once we know better, we can do better. But we don't have to like take responsibility and go, oh, that means I'm to blame and I'm an idiot and I'm terrible. That's the one thing that, for me, in the practice that we have, obviously, is that we understand how adaptable the human body is. I understand that I can learn, I can have failure commas, and learn from that and do better the next time. You know, so and that's the joy, I think, of being human. We have the power to create. We have the power to learn. We have the power to take that responsibility, but it doesn't mean that it's our fault. It doesn't make us any less.
Yeah.
Because we're saying, I'm a bit of an idiot, or I'm not doing what I should do.
That's a great point.
It's difficult though. That is because I sometimes go, you're an idiot. Like you know that you're a fucking idiot. It's your fault.
Yeah.
And that's where the empathy should come in. You know, where you go, look, right, you didn't do it. Let's go again. You know, but that is difficult. That's really hard because you're like, oh, again. But it's my responsibility, essentially. It's my responsibility. And then having children, I think that's changed for us over the last 3 or 4 years, is like, well, I have to look after this child. That's definitely my fault and my responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. It's like, you've got to look after this child. And as we know, for children, they just copy what you do. And I think that's a big thing for me. Is I'm not doing what I should do. As a result, I'm not a good example for Sailor and what I want her to be. And so I'm good saying, oh, Sailor, do this and do that. Well, what am I doing?
Yeah.
It makes sense what she does. What do I do? And that's a big driver for me, to have that responsibility to do better. And hopefully she can see that and do the same.
Yeah. It's a really uncomfortable one. You've heard that thing before, like if someone drops a child off on your doorstep, it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility. Yeah. And like the initial reaction, I found this a lot with myself and loads of people, is, that's not my responsibility. It's immediately, no, it's not my responsibility. But it is, because the child has nothing else. Now, it's not your child, but like, who are you? What kind of person are you? And then it's like, well, it's not my child. And that technically is true, and that's fine as well.
But just here's a harmless human being that can't do anything.
Yeah, and so like that's a real kind of that's a real identity crisis. I think, like, what kind of person are you? And this is not a judgment thing at all. Like, some people will say it's not my responsibility, it's not my child, and they're absolutely correct. But if you say you want to be a good person, then that is your responsibility.
100%.
But that's a really hard thing to accept. And now, obviously, when you have your own children, they're your fault and your responsibility, like you said. But it's and like, I'm not comparing it to having your own children, but having that responsibility forced upon somebody is why I believe there's so much resistance to taking it on yourself. Because again, what happens, like, you're having dinner and there's a bunch of your friends there, and you say something I don't agree with. I feel like that as a personal attack on me, so I don't even listen to you anymore. That I just respond and I push back. And it's like that idea of, if somebody says, so somebody listens to this today, right? And remember, we are not pontificating here or preaching. If somebody listens to this today and they're like, the lads are saying I should take responsibility, it's not my fucking fault. I lost my job. I don't have a house. I can't pay my bills. That's not my fault. I can't do what the lads are saying. I can't do 75 hard and turn myself around. I was like, you don't have to. But I mean, that's your responsibility. You can decide to do whatever you want to do with your circumstances, or you can point the finger and blame your boss or whatever, your circumstances or your bad luck or whatever like that. So accepting that responsibility for people in really bad situations is very hard, but for everybody, it's so much resistance.
I think you're right though, because but even just like hardship's going to happen. So I think if we can understand the responsibility that we have in the good times, and we can put these hardships in place, hopefully we're able to deal with those hardships better. Yeah. Because that's just the human nature of
But we look at
life.
them differently.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
What did I do to deserve this? Probably nothing. Doesn't matter. I'm gonna do my fucking thing anyway.
Yeah.
Now, I say this.
Exactly.
It's not how I feel.
Exactly. And in the moment, that's the hardest thing. But that's what we're trying to do. Yeah. Like, this is just like, it's training the body, the mind, the discipline. And we're not perfect. We're not where we want to be. But we do understand that, look, here's something we could try, something that we are literally doing. We already feel some level of a benefit. So imagine we keep going with this mindset. We keep going with these action steps. Well, where could it take us? I don't think we know. Me and you, we don't know.
No.
But we are certainly interested to find out.
Yeah.
It's fucking far from easy, but like, let's see where it could take us, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. That's probably the best way to wrap up that whole 75, whatever it is that we're doing. It's not 75 hard.
No, 75 medium.
75 medium. Yeah. Medium rare. Is that it's training the mindset. That's what I saw it as from the very start. This is for training my mindset. I have a glaring insufficiency or deficiency or weakness in my mindset. Not that I'm a weak person. I have a weakness in my mindset that I know needs to be fixed if I want to go where I want to go. And this is going to help me train that mindset. That's literally all it is.
I'd break it down then for mindset. I definitely agree with that. And I would say it's to help with my resilience, with my character, and my discipline. It's the same as mindset, just the different elements of it. Like, but like the resilience when times are fucking really difficult.
That's what I'm going to call this episode.
What was it called?
Resilience, mindset, and discipline.
Okay. Well,
character.
Yes.
Resilience, character, and discipline.
Yes, that's what I said. But even my character, because again, I don't want to do this, or who are you right now to kind of face. And then the discipline is hopefully the transfer to other aspects of our lives, I think, you know. But speaking of which, we should probably rock and roll because I'm on like leader number 4. I'm dying for a piss. I am dying for a piss.
Okay, we'll wrap it up here now. Look, I hope this made sense to people because we rambled on there a bit.
We did a bit.
But we just wanted to kind of explain to people what we're doing, why we're doing it, and just put it out there. A bit more accountability for ourselves, I suppose. We said we were going to do this, and I was like, oh, will we do this? This is not like some of the other episodes I would have done, but it's an accountability thing for us, definitely. Now people can listen and they can take something from it, hopefully. And we're always open to people asking.
Have you going to do it again on day 75?
Oh yeah, fact, yeah. We'll be back on day 75 and we'll tell people, have any of this come true or do we just fucking hate each other?
Day 75, we could miss something and go back to day 1 again and start again. So we got to make sure.
I said to you, I am not missing anything.
Yeah, I
said
agree.
at the start, geez, I couldn't be arsed.
Yeah.
And that's part of my problem. If I miss it, we'll go back to day 1.
Yeah.
We'll do this, it's the second round of this, when we both hit
day 75.
So day 150, because you'll be fucking 74 and you'll be like, oh, I forgot to do my workout.
Oh, no way. No, day 75. Yeah, no.
Day 75. We'll come back. We'll have a chat.
100%.
Thank you so much for your contributions as always.
Thanks, man.